All right, let's do a Patreon question. So Rabid Code asks, I have yet to play an RPG. If I were only ever to play 2 RPGs, what RPGs should I play first?
Well, I think you're limiting yourself a lot if you only play 2 RPGs.
I know. So we were talking about this in the car. My God. I mean, RPGs have been around since the beginning of computers, really.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's a really tough one because I was telling you, initially I was like, well, I'm going to pick like a really hardcore one that you have to read the manual because that got me into RPGs. Like I loved reading about stats and armor and hit points and rolling dice, virtually. I just love that stuff. But it's not for beginners.
Yeah, I mean, I was into more hardcore RPGs first, but I don't necessarily think that's the best starting point.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because I think a lot of people can get turned off from, especially something that requires a freaking book.
Yeah, I know. Well, this is the 80s, right?
But also just like a JRPG, because they can be cheesy and grindy and like... There's a lot of things that if you're not used to that sort of thing, you might just be like, what is this? And put it down. So
we have more than 2, though. I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to go first?
Yeah. So if you're talking about a beginner's RPG, I'm sort of thinking this as a gateway into playing like really hardcore RPGs.
First couple's free.
Yeah. My first suggestion would probably be Costume Quest. Now, it's kind of an unconventional one. It's on Steam and Xbox and PSN, and I think it's only download.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's cool in that it's a very modern, easy setting where it can kind of ease you into the mechanics of an RPG without being overly like, okay, now go kill this monster 5 times and get really... So the premise of Costume Quest is that you are trick-or-treating and you've got this costume on and your sibling gets kidnapped and you have to go fight a big monster that kidnapped your sibling. So you go around, you walk around the neighborhood, and the fight style is pretty similar to like a normal JRPG. You go into a fight sequence, but then whatever costume you're wearing becomes your armor, basically. So if you're wearing a robot costume, you become a giant robot, and your moves are the moves of a giant robot. But it's turn-based, and you level up, and you get stats, and you have to go collect pieces of costumes to make yourself better. So it's sort of like an easy way to see the mechanics of an RPG without it being really overwhelming and like giving you these complicated, the staff of Everward,
Yeah. Sword of Volpol.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, so I've heard of that game. I just haven't played it. But I want to say, is that Double Fine?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep, Psychonauts, and they've done some other stuff.
So many great games, huh? All right, so for me, boy, this was a toughie, but I have to go with a BioWare game, no surprise, because I love so many of their games. But I think the masterpiece, boy, that's even... I want to say KOTOR, but no, because KOTOR has been dated. It is Mass Effect 2. Have you played that?
I haven't. I know that's a sin.
Oh, so good. Mass Effect 2 is part of a trilogy that just broke all sorts of ground in really bringing in people to the RPG genre who were maybe more familiar with, say, cover-based shooters. But
Western style.
Yeah, exactly. But there's no grinding in it. The pacing of it is just perfect. You always hit sort of like the enemy at the right time for you to be able to take them out. There's no grinding in it. But more importantly, in my opinion, and this is what I love about BioWare games, is that they let you role play like in a traditional way. You get to create your character, which includes the sex, right? Mm-hmm. So, you don't necessarily have to create a pre-made hero. You can make someone who you can really relate to. I love that. Also, you get to make choices in the game that matter. So you get to change the outlook of the story, especially at the end of Mass Effect 2, because I won't spoil anything, but there's a lot of choices you make at the end where you have to make some hard choices. Who lives, who dies? Can you even make it so everyone can live? And then the ending gets changed based on that. It's really awesome.
And it introduces the romance part.
I was just going to mention. Yeah, exactly. So, part of this is having a crew that has male and female characters, and you get to have, relationships. And that actually was really fun because it's written for adults. Like, there's adult dialogue. It feels very real. So I love everything about it. So it was a great game.
I know I gotta play it.
You should.
Yeah. Well, if you want to go a little bit more old school, I think another one that I would recommend two, really. Some of the best ones on the Super Nintendo, Earthbound and Chrono Trigger. I know they're both expensive games on the Super Nintendo, but the good news is Earthbound is on the Virtual Console, on the Wii U, and on the new 3DS, and Chrono Trigger's on the DS, and there's also a PlayStation 1 version, but that one's not very good. So those games are a little bit more old school, so you still have the, choosing your weapons, and it's 16-bit graphics, and it's going to be sort of like a more old school adventure, but they still hold up really well.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's not a whole lot of crazy bells and whistles to them. So one of the things that I think turns people off from RPGs in general is just lots and lots of grinding. Right. Because that can get really tedious.
I don't like to grind in games. I find it really tedious.
And then it just getting really complex. Like you've got a class system and crafting and weapon building and like all of these different, these skill points and a sphere grid and what have you. So there's all these different things that are in all these modern RPGs, which are awesome if you get into it.
Right.
But as a starting point, I would definitely go with something more simple. So Earthbound doesn't have anything like that. You can upgrade your weapon and that sort of thing, and you do level up, but there's not any sort of crazy crafting system or, class building system.
Right.
And same sort of thing with Chrono Trigger. They're both really good, timeless stories, and you'll enjoy the story part of the RPG.
Great characters.
Yeah, great characters, great character development. But you won't have to deal with too much of the bullcrap. Yeah,
the combat engine in Chrono Trigger, I think, is one of my favorites.
Oh, me too.
I just love that game.
It's not quite turn-based. It's on more like a timer thing. Yeah. So, and that can really... Because I know the turn-based thing can get pretty stale for some people, so that keeps you on your feet.
Mm-hmm. And then I think finally for me, we were talking about this as well, is that I was tossing between the Mario and Luigi series, which started on the Game Boy Advance, and then you mentioned Paper Mario, which is an offshoot of that. And I think both of those games are just great starting points for people who, kind of like what your first suggestion was, people who want to get in and do some RPG light stuff, but then have great characters, great dialogue, and they're just long enough too. They're games that don't overstay their welcome. Some RPGs can be 50 hours, 100 hours. Those games just seem to last the perfect amount, and I think they're fantastic. So, and they're relatively cheap.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good to go into an RPG like already having some attachment to those characters if you're a little bit nervous about it. So that's another good thing about the Mario
and
games
the
too.
real-time combat, I think, is fun. It's almost rhythm-based, and so it's easier to get into, I think.
Yeah, totally.
All right, great question. Thank you. This question was asked by one of my Patreon contributors who helps support my YouTube channel and help shape the content of my videos. In addition to asking questions like this, they also get access to a private chat, an audio podcast, and early access to most of my Friday videos. You can also set the amount you want to contribute, and you can leave or change it at any time. If you'd like to help support my videos and become part of the Metal Militia, please go to patreon.com/MetalJesusRocks.